Okay, today we're going to demonstrate fabricating a whole chicken. Here we go. We got a little bit of ice over here to keep our product cold. So here's my chicken hand. I'm going to keep this nice and on the chicken, and this is going to be my dry hand so we're not slipping and anything bad is going to happen. Get a little paper towel here. And a damp towel under my cutting board here so we're not sliding around all over the place. We don't want to drip chicken all over, so. Okay, so chicken 101. A couple parts we're going to divide this into. So this side, this would be the breast side over here. And then we have the legs over here connected to the thigh and the wing bone. The wing tips were removed on this chicken. This is the chicken tail. So obviously this is how the chicken would walk. Chicken neck. This one came without the giblets. Normally there's a giblet bag in here. But as far as fabricating a chicken, which means breaking it down into its parts, which would be leg, thigh, breast, for competition, the important thing is something called the oyster of the chicken, also in turkeys, and it is located on the back side of the thigh, right under the skin, and we need to make sure that this comes off with the chicken thigh. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that when we cut through the skin, it protects the individual pieces of meat, because that's important for the cooking process. So I think we're just going to start with the leg and thigh, and there's natural seams, so we'll just go through here, and same thing on the other side here. You can just see how we're coming down the chicken here, and we got to be careful of that oyster, and I'll flip it over to so we can see where we're going here. Okay, what I like to do is I take the back of the knife and just give it a little crack right there. It's a little crunch through the joint, and then we want to take the skin here and follow where I made the earlier cut, and this oyster is going to be right underneath here, and you can feel it. And this is the thing you have to get out for competition, fabricating. And it's coming out right here. Now for Thanksgiving, if you do a turkey, these oysters are nice and big and a lot easier to get out. So you just have to come back around and get the oyster out. And this is, I don't know if you can see it right there. There's the oyster, and the rest will just peel away. And for now I'm going to stick this over here. A couple bones coming out. Same thing on the other side. I want to give it a little crack right there. And that oyster should be right about there. Come around, give it another crack at the joint. And now we have our leg and thigh sections. This right here, the fat's going to be removed, and the fat's going to be garbage, and we're going to save the backbone and the tail for stock production. Okay, now this is a little Mr. Scazzaro trick for the backbone. So there's a couple ways to do a chicken. This is how I like to do it. I'm going to go through the rest of the backbone to the neck, following a narrow line. The students that I teach, they always go too wide and they get in their trouble here. So we'll flip it up, and then it's going to be a slicing motion, starting with the heel of the knife to go right through the bones. And I tell my students these knives are made to go through bones, so you got to be careful. Sometimes I'll take my knife and I'll actually, a lot of chefs don't recommend this, but I learned to cross hand and go through. I found that a little difficult to teach my students, so I'll have them do a rollover. And then with the tip of the knife, you need to do a slice through, and you can see the neck bone, the backbone is real narrow in a chicken, and with a good sharp knife, done. Okay, so it's always a slicing motion. Here's the rest of the backbone that we save over here. Now let's clean our cutting board up as we're moving along here. We've got some paper towels on hand, and then we'll continue. Now, what's left is the breast. We're going to clean the skin up a little bit. And gonna make sure this is happy here. A little bit of fat that can come out. We don't use the fat for anything. Now this is a neat little trick. A couple chefs know about this. This is actually a chef's trick. So what you want to do is you want to take the tip of the knife, put a dead center right here, and you're just going to give it a press. And this would be the breastbone located here. And we're just going to press, and it's going to, the knife just stopped. And that's what you want, because you went through a little bit of cartilage. And if you take it and you open it up, oh, and this one worked out actually nice and didn't break. You can see the breastbone pull right out. And then what you want to do is you want to grab it, and using the back of the knife to hold the bird down, you can pull this out, and sometimes it'll come out in one shot. And there it is, and that would be the A+ pull for my students right there. So, and these break a lot, but this also goes into the stock. At this point you can do a lot of things with the bird, but what I like to do is just slice it in half. And this is the wishbone I'm going to go through. I'm just going to cut it in right through there. So now we have our, there's a little bit of rib cage in here. We're going to take that out. What we have here is our chicken breast, and this is known as an airline cut. And we're leaving the leg bone in for appearance purposes, so it looks nice on the dish. So you can do a couple things. So this would be complete. At this time we could go further and I could debone it, but we're not going to do that today. So this goes over here, this goes over here, and then we're on to chef trick number 2. We have the leg and the thigh. And here's the chef trick, and you might want to zoom in for this. There is a line of fat, which is right here. And I was telling my students the other day, they're like, where's the line? They actually thought there was like a line drawn on the chicken. And I'm like, no, it's this piece of fat, and that's the magic line where if you get right on there and you just do a nice slicing action, it's just right through butter. And that's the joint right there, and that's how you leave yourself with a chicken leg. And notice off the skin, so it protects the chicken leg. I could French this, but we're not going to do that today. This goes back over here. We're going to clean up the chicken thigh a little bit, which is my favorite part. Make sure the skin is together and nice. And then again, if you missed it, we're going to do that magic line again. I like to do again is I like to take a look at the skin, which is important for preparation. Flip it over one more time. Again, this is a little bit of bone left from the other part of fabrication, which we can remove. Okay. And then we're going to find that magic line, and it is right here. Hopefully if we get it correct, it'll right through. Okay, so what we have again is we have our 2 thighs. Here and here are 2 legs and our air-lined breast of chicken, and the scraps we're going to use for stock, and the fat is garbage, and that's how you fabricate a chicken.